What if I told you one of the most beautiful places on earth isn't the Maldives, isn't Bora Bora, and isn't even on most travelers' bucket lists? A place so untouched, so unbelievably beautiful, it almost looks computer-generated. It isn't. Today we're traveling to what many call the world's last hidden paradise. Every place has a story, but some stories are hidden beyond the map. Hidden among more than 17,000 Indonesian islands lies an archipelago so remote that even experienced travelers often struggle to find it on a map. Look to the far eastern edge of the country, past Bali, past Sulawesi, off the northwestern tip of West Papua, where Indonesia runs out and the Pacific begins. 1,500 islands, cays and shoals, 4 of them large enough to matter. Most are too small to hold a village. Welcome to Raja Ampat. Translated from Indonesian, Raja Ampat means the 4 kings, a name inspired by an ancient legend of 4 rulers born from mysterious eggs. The story goes that a woman found 7 eggs along the shore. 4 of them hatched. Each child became a king. 1 took Waigeo, 1 took Batanta, 1 took Salawati, 1 took Misul. The other 3, the legend keeps vague. A woman, a stone, something that was never quite explained. So the islands were never lost. The people who fished these waters always knew exactly where they were. It was the rest of us who weren't looking. For most of its history, nothing about this place was convenient. No deep water port, no road in, nothing the outside world had thought to want. The shipping lanes ran elsewhere. So did history. For centuries, these islands remained isolated from the outside world. There were no luxury resorts, no cruise ships, and no crowds. Nature was simply left alone. The first thing visitors notice is the color. Not one blue, dozens. Jade over sand, ink over the drop-offs. Something close to glass in the shallows. Water so impossibly clear that boats appear to float in mid-air. There's a reason for it. The water arriving here comes off the open ocean, and it carries almost nothing. No silt, no sediment, no runoff from farmland. These islands are limestone. Rain sinks straight down through the rock instead of running off it. So there are almost no rivers here. Nothing muddy reaching the sea. Nothing clouds the water. So the light just keeps going. Towering limestone islands covered in emerald rainforest create a landscape unlike anywhere else on Earth. The shape of them is stranger than it first looks. All of this was once reef, built up under the sea, then lifted clear of it as the crust buckled and rose. What you're looking at is an ancient reef standing in the air. The sea has been working on it ever since, cutting at the waterline where the rock is weakest, undercutting each island until it stands on a stem, limestone above, a notch carved out below, rainforest holding onto the top. Some islands are so small that only a handful of trees can grow on them. Some are barely more than a rock with a hat of green on it. Others hide secret beaches and lagoons invisible from the sea. There are lagoons in here, reachable only at low tide, through gaps in the rock a boat can barely fit through. There's a wooden staircase on one of these islands. A few hundred steps, cut into the rock, going up through the trees. The climb is the only way to see it. At the top, the trees open. Pi Nemo, a bay full of green domes, each one ringed with pale water, going back until they blur. From above, it almost feels like nature was showing off. But the true wonder of Raja Ampat isn't above the water. It's what lies beneath. The surface closes over, and the sound of the world goes with it. The light turns blue. Everything slows. What happens here is not luck, it's geography. Raja Ampat sits at a crossroads. 2 oceans trade species through a gap in these islands, the Pacific pressing down from the north, the Indian drawing away to the west. Between the islands, the channels narrow. Deep water is forced up through them, cold and heavy with nutrients. Cold water is fertile water, and it carries cargo, coral larvae, fish eggs, the drifting beginnings of reefs, arriving from waters too far away to name. Nothing here had to be planted. The current does the planting, and it has been doing it for longer than there have been people to notice. This is the heart of the coral triangle. Every reef in the region is fed by the same machinery. Raja Ampat sits where it runs strongest, which is why a place this small holds a number this large. Scientists believe Raja Ampat is the most biodiverse marine ecosystem on Earth. Not the largest reef on Earth, the busiest. More than 1,500 species of fish, over 500 kinds of coral, roughly 3/4 of every coral species known on Earth. Sea turtles, reef sharks. The reef is stacked in layers, soft coral over hard coral, fans the size of doors, every surface taken, nothing left bare. And above all of it, a shifting ceiling of fish that opens for a diver and closes again behind them. Then the light changes. Something wide is passing overhead. Manta rays with wingspans wider than a family car. Reef mantas here span 3 to 3.5 meters. The oceanic ones reach 7. They eat almost nothing. Plankton, strained from the water, mouths open, circling the same patch of reef for hours. Across the tropics, warming water has been emptying reefs. Color goes first, then the structure, then everything that lived inside it. Reefs that took lifetimes to build have gone to rubble in a single hot season. In many places across the world, coral reefs are disappearing. The current that feeds these islands also cools them. The water keeps moving, the temperature holds, and so does the reef. Here, they continue to thrive. It has become one of the last great underwater Edens, a reference point, what a reef looked like before we changed the water. But paradise has a price. Reaching Raja Ampat isn't easy. There is no shortcut here. There never was. Visitors fly into Indonesia, then they keep flying east. Domestic hops, each one smaller than the last, until the plane comes down at Sorong, a working port city on the Papuan mainland. And Sorong is not the destination. Sorong is where the journey starts. From there, the map runs out of roads. Visitors often take multiple flights before boarding a ferry or speedboat for several more hours. From the harbour, a ferry crosses to Waisai, about 2 hours of open water. The ferry fills with cargo as much as passengers. Rice, fuel drums, building timber, everything the islands can't make for themselves. Then a speedboat, smaller, louder. The last stretch is done in an open hull, with spray and no shade. Out past the shipping lanes, towards a wooden jetty and a family waiting on it. Nobody arrives here in a hurry, and nobody arrives here by accident. There are no giant hotels dominating the coastline, no theme parks, no shopping malls. Nowhere sells a souvenir of the place you are standing in. The buildings that exist are wooden, low, and built out over the water. Sometimes there's barely any phone signal. Every leg of that journey turns somebody back. That's the filter. It costs time, and time is the one thing most travelers won't spend. For many travelers, that's exactly the point. The difficulty isn't a flaw in the place, it's the reason the place survived. Mass tourism needs infrastructure, deep harbors for the ships, runways long enough for the jets, roads. None of it ever reached these islands. While coastlines elsewhere were dredged, anchored over and built on, Raja Ampat stayed too far away to be worth the trouble. Every road that was never built here is a reef that is still alive. Distance protected this place long before anybody thought to protect it by law. That's an uncomfortable thing to admit about somewhere this beautiful. The people who make the trip anyway tend to be the ones who came for the reef rather than the room. This isn't a destination built for convenience. It's built for discovery. Long before tourists ever arrived, these islands belonged to local communities. They still do. Clan boundaries here run past the shoreline, across reef, lagoon, and open water. Who may fish a stretch of reef and when has been decided in these villages for generations. Many families still depend on sustainable fishing practices passed down through generations. There is a word for it here. Sasi. A stretch of reef is closed. No fishing, no collecting, no exceptions. Months pass, sometimes years. The closure holds because the community holds it. Then it opens, and what comes out of that water is worth the wait. Fish grow larger inside a closure. The people eating them worked that out a long time ago. It is a management system, and it was working here centuries before marine science had a name for it. Today, local leaders work alongside conservation groups to protect the reefs and surrounding forests. The science arrived to measure what the villagers already knew. Patrol boats are crewed by people from these islands. So are the ranger posts and the homestays. Marine protected areas now cover vast sections of Raja Ampat, helping preserve this extraordinary ecosystem for future generations. The lines on those maps were drawn with the villages, not around them. This is not protection handed down from somewhere else. Visitors are encouraged to respect local customs, minimize waste, and support community-run tourism, so the islands remain as remarkable as they are today. You are a guest in someone's home water. Behave like one. Can any place truly be called the world's last hidden paradise? Perhaps not. Last would mean the world had run out. It hasn't. 8 billion of us, and there are still mornings nobody is watching. Every coastline on Earth has been photographed from orbit. Almost none of it has been walked. No satellite ever climbed those steps through the trees. The map is finished. The visiting isn't. There are still remote islands, forgotten valleys, untouched coastlines, places with a name in one language and no name in ours. Further from an airport than most itineraries allow. Most of them are already known, just not by us, waiting the way these islands waited, quietly, for as long as it takes. But Raja Ampat reminds us of something we've almost forgotten, that extraordinary places still exist, not as a photograph, not as a pin saved on a phone, somewhere the tide comes in whether anyone films it or not, somewhere you can stand in the actual weather with wet feet. For a few days, you stop being a customer and start being a visitor. You eat what the boat brought in. You sleep over the water, salt drying on your arms, boards still warm from the afternoon. Places where nature, not skyscrapers, defines the skyline. Where silence is interrupted only by birdsong and the gentle rhythm of the sea. No engines, no music from the next room. A hornbill crossing the bay at dusk, 2 beats of wing, then nothing. After dark, the loudest thing is water against a wooden hull. You cannot book it, you arrive at it. And where the greatest luxury isn't a 5-star resort, it's feeling like you've discovered something the rest of the world hasn't. One more look before we leave. Some places are famous because everyone visits them. Others become unforgettable because so few do. The islands are not asking to be found. They are doing what they have always done, with or without us. Raja Ampat isn't just another destination. It's a reminder that our planet still holds extraordinary secrets, waiting to be discovered. Some of them are still being looked after by the people who found them first. Go gently when you go. And that's exactly why we created Beyond the Map. If you enjoyed this expedition, Subscribe and join our community of explorers as we uncover the world's hidden places, untold stories, and unforgettable journeys. Until next time, keep looking beyond the map. Next time, we're counting down 25 places that don't look real. Some are so unbelievable, you'll think they're AI generated, but every single one exists.